welcome back to OTR. Time for our political roundtable this morning. And joining us, Democratic analyst Marianne Marsh and Republican analyst Jenny Buckingham. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right. A big part of our conversation with Senator Rodericks was about SNAP funding running out. The governor blaming the Trump administration. She also said she didn't want to tap the state's $8 billion rainy day fund to bridge any gaps here. Jenny, do you think there was another way she could have handled this, or did she handle it the right way?
She should be calling on the state's all Democrat delegation to reopen the government, and that would solve this problem. That's where this problem came from. And yes, do I think they'll end up tapping that rainy day fund? Yeah, I do.
You do think so?
I do think so. That what she put in is a good start, but it's not enough.
$4 million versus $240 million,
Yeah.
which is what we get in a month from
And
the government.
even if President Trump released emergency funds, which I think he should do as well, it's not enough to even get through the month for the whole country. So we
Marianne?
need more help.
What it says to me is if she's reluctant to tap into the rainy day fund, which is clearly the issue here, that says to me she expects darker days to come, both for Massachusetts and the country. So she doesn't want to go there yet and is trying to do a stopgap measure. If you had to tap another fund, the one I would look at is the millionaire's tax, because first of all, it's for health and education, and food is health. And I think there's something
Education.
I think it's for
transportation, but I still think that might be a way to do it where people who have a lot are helping people who don't. And as for the Republicans, especially the Massachusetts Republicans, they need to call Donald Trump and Thune and Mike Johnson and everybody else and have them reopen the government and have them get to the table and do negotiations. That's where they should be spending their time, not on Democrats who are trying to keep people's health care costs down.
Next item. The former staffer for Governor Healey arrested, accused of cocaine trafficking. Investigators say that they seized about 21 kilograms of suspected cocaine. This is Lamar Cook. He was the deputy director of the governor's Western Massachusetts office. He has since been fired. Mariana, how big a problem is it? It's a big problem for him. How big is a problem is this for the governor?
Well, I mean, once they were made aware of it, they fired him. Period, full stop. And I don't think anyone knew about this. And when you read the accounts, the public accounts of what he did in this sort of elaborate operation, and people who know him in Springfield are shocked. But the right thing happened. He was fired. Now it's up to the court of law. He's got to face the judge and jury, and we'll see what happens there.
Jenny, your read.
Pretty stunning story. This isn't some random bureaucrat. This is someone who was directly appointed by the governor and was having cocaine delivered to the governor's office.
Who was vetted, by the way, right?
In Springfield.
Yeah.
Well, yes, I think how you respond to these things is ultimately the most important, and they did move quickly and fire him. This will be added to whatever the Republican candidates can make of management failures in the administration. This will be yet another one. We'll see if it sticks.
All right, this Tuesday is Election Day. The big local race we were anticipating, we were following, is no more. Mayor Michelle Wu is not being challenged, but there are races nationwide that will impact us. In New York's race for mayor, an Emerson College poll has Zohran Mamdani with a big lead over former Governor Andrew Cuomo. And in California, there's that ballot measure about redrawing congressional maps. That would impact the balance of power in Congress. Ginny, what are you watching the closest this Tuesday night?
A couple of things. Locally, I hope that an opposition voice to Mayor Wu gets elected to the at-large city council. That's Frank Baker, and it looks like he might have a good shot of knocking off somebody. And then nationally, I'm watching the Democrats self-implode by electing a communist, essentially, as mayor of New York, and all saying that maybe this is our future. I don't think so.
Marianne, what are you watching?
Democrats are going to run the table on all of the races. So for Mamdani, it looks like he's going to win by about 16 points in the latest polling, down 8 points, though, from a couple weeks ago. And obviously, Michelle Wu's going to walk away with it. What that says to me is that voters are electing progressives as mayor and moderates as governors. So in statewide races, you look at the candidates. So in New Jersey and Virginia, Democrats are going to win both there. Mikey Sherrill's up by 7 in the Fox poll that came out on Thursday. Abigail Spanberger's up 7-9 also in the Fox poll down there. And then the California, that ballot question is going to pass overwhelmingly. In fact, the opposition has stopped. So that to me is the really interesting thing, is how voters want Democrats, but they want a certain kind of Democrat if you live in a city, and you want a more moderate Democrat if you are governor. I disagree with Ginny on the city council race. Frank Baker's not going to be able to get it across the line. The fascinating thing there is it's sort of a proxy fight between Michelle Wu and Marty Walsh, and my money's on Michelle Wu.
Well, just to pick up on a theme that Ginny was mentioning, is it a bad thing for a major American city to not to have a mayor's race and no one is competing against the person in the corner office? Is it a bad thing?
I mean, do you mean that Cuomo running against Mondami wasn't enough, or Curtis Swiwa and the Red Beret didn't make it for
No,
you?
I think you're saying is Mayor Wu being unopposed a problem? Of course it is, which again is why we need a city council that does somewhat of their job of being a watchdog.
But she had an opponent, and
did.
he failed spectacularly, as we accounted here, for weeks and weeks on end. So he could have stayed in the race till the end. He decided to withdraw. He was 45 points down in the primary. That's not her fault. It was a competitive
I'm not
process.
saying it's her fault,
and
but it's not good for
competitive-
voters.
That's where I'm going for
but
the landscape.
I hear you, but he could have stayed in the race, chose not to, after losing by 45 points.
Next item, home heating costs, because obviously we're in November, we're in the beginning of the heating cycle. The state's utility regulators are in part denying a price hike from Eversource. The Department of Public Utilities, DPU, says that Eversource has not met its performance standards. They say this move could save some customers of Eversource's NSTAR division $45 million this year. So Marianne, let's start with you. This was a big issue for the governor last winter. It was a big issue for those who are paying their bills at home. What does this change mean for her this winter?
Well, first, credit to Ben Cimino, who's been all over this story and actually got people to change things because of it. So good for him. Two, Maura Healey finally has all three commissioners on the Department of Public Utilities commission. And the first thing they did was deny that rate hike. So that tells you a lot. So she's got a DPU now who's much more in sync with her. And frankly, everyone who lives in Massachusetts, if you just ask for a rate hike, you usually got it. And now that's not the case anymore, as it should be.
But Eversource is talking like there might be other
Well, listen,
hikes.
she
Well, they
got
can
it. She
try.
got a good headline, and that's great for now. But you want to be really careful if you're her about politicizing that regulatory body, because you're not supposed to be telling them what to do. They're supposed to have an objective process. And as Attorney General,
But
she
does appoint them.
opposed
Yeah.
natural gas pipelines coming into the state. So she's trying to have it both ways, and I think it's going to come back to bite her.
You can't rubber stamp. I mean, what has happened under previous governors is they were rubber stamping every hike every time. And to your point, the quote that Eversource gave about, well, we'll pass the costs on in other ways and all that, that's not how this should be done. If there's a process, and there is, follow the process. But they got used to getting everything they ever wanted.
She's going to lose if ultimately it's her controlling whether energy prices go up. They're going up. She does want to own that.
That wasn't a conversation that was had.
We're on the record. Stay with us.